overview of the National Council on Drug Abuse. So the National Council on Drug Abuse, as you may be aware, for many of you, you would have actually known about the National Council on Drug Abuse, but we have had some recent changes. So the National Council on Drug Abuse is a department within the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Now, additionally, for many persons, when you hear the National Council on Drug Abuse, all we think about is substance misuse. Yes, that's a part of our mandate. So our mandate not only involves substance misuse, education, and treatment. So it's substance misuse prevention, education, and treatment, but we are actively involved in mental wellness. So a part of our mandate now involves mental wellness. But this afternoon for our presentation, we are going to be focusing on substance misuse. Now, the National Council on Drug Abuse, we are located, for those of you who may not be familiar, we are located at 4 Car Crescent in Montego Bay. So the same building where you have the Family Court, the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, we are located on that very same building. The idea, and I'm really happy that we have gotten this opportunity, is because we want to ensure that everybody is aware that there are services available. And a lot of times what we find is that persons wait until persons are really struggling with addiction before they get help. And one of the things that I hope will come out of this presentation is not only increase awareness of the dangers associated with substance misuse, but increase awareness of the services that are available to our people. A lot of times our people are struggling all by themselves, or they're in a state of serious addiction, and until that time before they really come in for help, we want people to know that help is indeed available. And the first sign that you see as parents, as caregivers, we can literally come into the office for testing. And then we deal with it from there. We don't need to wait until it becomes problematic. So that is one of the takeaways that we'd love when we are through today, that persons are indeed aware of the services that are indeed available to them. We are a multi-dynamic team. So we have with us, we have our substance misuse officers, we have our psychosocial officers, we have our case management coordinators and officers, we have our psychologists, we have our counselors. So these are services that are available to persons, free of cost. So with this, I'm now going to turn over to Mr. Roll J. Thompson, who will carry you through the presentation.
All right, so good afternoon, everybody. How are we all doing today? All right, great. Are you hearing better now? All right, great. All right, so as Ms. Brown mentioned, I am a substance misuse prevention officer at the National Council on Drug Abuse. I'm just waiting on the screen to come up.
He goes to the retirement Seventh-day Adventist. So he's also a member of the Seventh-day Adventist.
Thank you for that, miss. All right, so this afternoon we're gonna have a interactive, very good, an interactive session or presentation. I want it to be as interactive as possible. I don't want to be up here the only person talking, right? So we're all going to interact. If you have any questions about anything on the slides while I'm going through, you can ask just the same, and we'll go through. All right, so National Council on Drug Abuse. So we were established in 1983 as a voluntary non-profit organization to provide Jamaicans with quality drug prevention and treatment services. So since then, we had reviewed our role, and it has led to the expansion, to include examination of legal, medical, and security issues surrounding drug abuse, as well as research. And now we are a department within the Ministry of Health and Wellness providing information on the use and misuse of substances, intervention, treatment services, and mental wellness. So some services that we offer, so we offer substance misuse education, prevention programs in schools and communities, counseling, drug testing, and also screening. Thank you. All right, so what comes to your mind when you hear the word drugs? What comes to your mind? Harmful. What else? Nice. Nice. All right. Addiction. What else? Medicines. All right. Yes. I'm hearing health. High. All right. What else comes to your mind? The types of drugs. Yes. All right, so you said Molly. All right, I hear cocaine, ganja. All right, now we're getting somewhere. Yes, who else? Lean, all right. All right, yes, go ahead. Even your cough syrup. And I'm glad you mentioned that because you're also going to touch on that in the presentation. What kind of pills? Popping pills, all right. Very good. So in this presentation, our objectives will be to understand what drugs are, identify legal versus illegal drugs, learn about common drugs in Jamaican schools, understand the risks of using drugs, and also to learn how to make better choices. So what is a drug? So a drug is any substance that is going to change the way that you think, you feel, or you behave, right? So it's going to alter your mind or your body in some way, shape, or form. Now, this is the reason why, or the reason many different substances can be classified as drugs, depending on how they are used, right? So, drugs can be either inhaled, they can be taken intravenously, which is through the veins. You can also consume it via either eating or drinking. How else can you take drugs? Sniffing, very good. So sniffing or snorting. How else? Anybody else? All right, so vaping, so that would be considered as, yes. Sorry, it's smoking it. And it can also be absorbed through the skin, right? So drugs can also be absorbed through your skins. So it can be helpful, which is a medicinal drug, or harmful, which is a misused substances. So some reasons why we see children and youth try drugs. So one of the main reasons is that of peer pressure. And do we know what peer pressure is? What is peer pressure? Peer pressuring. Essentially, yes. Who else? All right. All right, so you're trying to fall in line with somebody else's habits. All right, yes. Anybody else? Go ahead. All right, so if somebody forces you to do something, very good. So you're all correct, right? So peer pressuring is basically, so as the word peer suggests, so peer means what? So your friends, right? So persons in your what? Age group, right? So myself and somebody who is, say, 20 years or 10 years older than me would necessarily be my peer, right? So peers is somebody close, in close proximity in your age group or somewhere that you relate with. So peer pressure refers to, persons trying to influence their beliefs or their ideas on you in an attempt to get you to do something that you are uncomfortable or you don't want to do. So they also try it because of curiosity. So this is where we see where children want to experience, right? So they want to try out new things. So, especially youths in high school and even in primary schools as well, this also plays a big factor because this is the part now where, they are growing. So obviously they are going to, want to try new stuff. So things are going to pique their interest. And that is where we see a lot of them, trying things because of curiosity. Stress or problems. So who said children don't stress? Adults. So tell me some things that stress our children now, our youths. Exams, what else? The same pitting them. All right, friends, yes. Social media, teachers, yes. Teachers, right. How about assignments? Parents, so a load of us to hear. Parents. Elders and pastors, okay. Is everyone hearing this, by the way? All right, great. They are up here, so they are the ones saying it, right? So, yes, so these are all things that, cause children or youth to stress, right? So the other reason is them wanting to look cool. Right, so when I was going to high school, I saw this issue a lot, right? Because I went to Cornwall College, and many of the persons here who started to use substances just because they want to look cool, or they want to fit in with a particular group. So you have persons who will be there, they come from good households, Christian backgrounds as well. And, when they get there, they want to fit in with a certain group. And that is the reason how they start to use or misuse substances, right? So this is also something that we have to take into consideration. So the issue of legal versus illegal drugs in Jamaica. So legal refers to the regulated substances which are permitted by law, but often regulated by age or prescription. So these include alcohol, caffeine, nicotine, and over-the-counter pharmaceutical drugs. So these are substances that are legal, right? So you are allowed to have these. So if the police stop you at any time and you have these, it won't necessarily be, you breaking the law. Illegal drugs. These substances are prohibited. So possession over 2 ounces of ganja or any amount of cocaine, heroin, or ecstasy is a criminal offense under the Dangerous Drugs Act. So you can also be fined or, breaking the law if you cultivate more than 5 plants or if you're smoking in public spaces. So these are also illegal. And then we have prescription or illegal misuse. So yes, prescription drugs or the use of it can also be illegal. So this happens when you misuse or you obtain it through illicit means. So, illicit means illegal means. And that legal does not mean safe, right? So even though some of these substances are legal, such as the alcohol and the nicotine, the caffeine and so on, we know these things are not safe because they are harmful to our bodies. So now we're going to get into the real presentation. So drugs of interest in schools and communities. What is this first one? Marijuana or ganja, right? So at the agency, they recently told us not to say, well, not really not to say, but in general, spaces and so on, we should say ganja because it's a more, culturally recognized term. So we have ganja, right? And we all know what ganja is, right? If we see a piece of ganja right now, we can easily recognize it, right? Or smell it. You smell it before you see it, not true? Right. Yes, what is it? Yes, it's strong. So the scent of it is very strong. The high quality one. What do you mean by the high quality one? Well, yes, what do you mean? Let me process this a bit.
No, let's get something straight. There are many weeds around. So you can't call that weed. That is called marijuana. Huh? Right, because there are many weeds around. No, you have different variety of weed. Mm-hmm. That one look like sensimilla to me. And you even have one now, mm-hmm. a new one, or two new varieties.
Right.
That can lick you for 6.
Which are?
I don't even know the name because they're in Jamaica. But,
okay.
But I have a cousin right now that one of the new one mash him down totally. Mash him down.
Right.
You never expect it, just mash him down. As a matter of fact, he ended up in Lucy Hospital. I spent about 3 weeks there. Mm-hmm. So, well, I plant weed once in my life. Mm-hmm. So I have an idea.
Okay.
But the best thing about it, boy, when it start get ripe,
mm-hmm.
it smells sweet.
Right, the scent of it is very
nice.
sweet. Yes.
When the wind blows it like this, man, it's a very sweet aroma.
Yes.
Captivate the whole place.
Yes.
But as I said, that one, that sentiment is this kind of seed that it has. Mm-hmm. Strong herb.
Right. But
it is not in the reaping stage as yet.
Okay.
It's not in the reaping stage of it. Those buds have to dry some more.
Yeah, man, they have to dry some more.
Yeah.
To be, smoked. So, they have different strains of ganja, right? Right. So these strains, they might be of different flavors, or they have different scents and also different potencies to them as well. So we also have tobacco or cigarettes. And this is very popular, among the Jamaican culture, society. You will see these in most, Chinese shop you go, or even walking on the road daily, you see persons smoking cigarettes. And what is in it is mainly the tobacco. So tobacco actually comes from a plant, so it's planted like, any other living tree that you see out there. And it actually grows, and it's harvested, and it is what the main substance or the main components of cigarettes. We also have the good old alcohol, right? Not the good old. Okay, my apologies. Right, so we also have alcohol, right? So we know alcohol is also a substance, even though it might be, overlooked in the Jamaican society. It is actually a substance. So there are different types of alcohol. So we have beers. What else do we have? Wine. What else? We have rum, vodka, spirits, right? All right, so you're giving me the names of them now. Rum cream, yes. Mm-hmm. I think we need to get a mic up here. Anybody else agrees? I think we need to get a mic up here. Right, so those are different types of alcohol that we have. Additionally, we also have edibles. Right, so it will probably come up soon. I'm not sure why it's... Right, so we also have edibles, right? And edibles, so they can be made using gummy bear, right? So it's gummy bears, and they also, but not only gummy bears, right? And we'll touch on it later on. You have cakes as well, so, right? Very good. So these are actually infused with marijuana. And it is what is also, we are seeing it becoming more popular nowadays in our schools. Because, how easy it is to deceive, teachers, parents, and so on. You can easily say, it's like a gummy bear have but actually it's actually infused with marijuana. And we also have the vape. We also have the vape, right? What I'm doing with it, I'm just displaying it, just displaying. All right, so I have 2 samples here of the vape. They can be passed around. They are not filled, so, right, they are not filled, so they can be passed around. And this is also a sample of the cigarette. I think everybody knows how the cigarette looks already. Right, so the vape, so we call them the ends, right? So it's actually an electronic nicotine delivery system, right? So the ends, you see there, it stands for electronic nicotine delivery system. And what does that say to you? Electronic nicotine delivery system, what does that say to you? All right, so it's electric, right? What else? All right, so it's a delivery system. It goes into your system. What else? Anybody else? All right, so it's actually something that's electronic. So you all are actually correct. So it has, if you take a hammer right now and you mash it on the ground, you're gonna see some electronic parts in it, right? So how it works is that it is charged. Some of them can be charged, right? And some of them, it can only be used probably once or twice. So you charge it like your phone, like your laptop, like your tablet, and then you plug it out, and then you smoke it. And then you think about it and you're saying, why would you smoke something that you have to charge, right? But we'll delve into it further as well. And then we have the lean that I heard someone say, right, just now. And the lean is actually also another drug. So what the lean consists of is what you see on the television. Jolly Rancher, Sprite, what else? Medicine. So what kind of medicine do they use? DPH, very good. So you can either use DPH or you can use codeine as well, if you can get access to it, right? And it's mixed around, in a cup or bottle, whatever, and you can chill it or you can drink it on the board. Oh, on the television, you see that one has ice in it, and you drink it just like a regular juice, right? Very good. So now we have, a broad concept of the substances that we'll be speaking about this afternoon. So firstly, we're going to talk about ganja. So ganja, also known as marijuana, weed, or cannabis, comes from the plant Cannabis sativa and is widely used in Jamaica and all around the world for recreational, cultural, and medicinal purposes. The main chemical that affects the brain is THC, which is a short for tetrahydrocannabinol, which causes the high. Another compound, CBD, cannabinol, is often linked to medicinal benefits without a strong high. So go ahead. Yes.
What you say called lean or something like that?
Right, lean.
I think you need to expound some more on that. I
I'm
just
going
want
to
to
expound
understand.
some more on it.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
We're going to delve into it further.
All right. Okay.
All right, no problem. All right, so the marijuana, right? So go ahead, yes. Okay, am I?
I just want to make a quick observation.
Okay.
While you are explaining the different substances, I notice you have been saying you can do, you can use, this is how you do, which I believe is not really what you want to say, that this is how they use it.
Okay.
So just for the benefit of our youth, that when you're explaining it, say this is how they use it, because it is implying that this is how you should use it, which I think is contradicting what you are really trying to say.
All right, thank you for that.
Point. Thank you.
I saw a student once in the middle of the class with the teacher there and everything. She was vaping. So I was thinking that the vaping must have contained something that is not harmful. But I'm hearing now that it contains nicotine. So I'm wondering if it's something that I can refill or it can put in non-harmful substance in it. Because she was vaping, I was thinking that, it's something non-harmful she's vaping also.
All right, so yes, so they can contain nicotine as well. But however, we're going to get into it in the presentation. All right, thank you. So a question I usually get often whenever, going to schools and so on is, so the marijuana, right? So students are usually curious as to the effects of it. And many of them say it can also be used as a medicine, which is actually true. So as it says, it has medicinal benefits, which is a CBD compound. However, what is actually dangerous is the tetrahydrocannabinol, which that goes directly to your brain when you actually smoke, or when they actually smoke the marijuana. We also have synthetic marijuana, which is K2 or spice. So this refers to man-made chemicals designed to mimic the effects of the delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, which is the psychoactive substance or compound in natural cannabis. So these substances are not made from the marijuana plant. Instead, they are synthetic cannabinoid receptor and agonists that are usually dissolved in solvents and sprayed onto dried, shredded plant material to be smoked. So being something that is synthetic, that means that is what? Man-made, right? So it's not real. And it is what they do to mimic the effects and also the scent of marijuana, because it is actually a very, lucrative business, and it's also expensive to maintain. And they're always trying to find ways, to spend less to make more money. Hence the reason the K2 or the spice. So it may look just like the marijuana, however, it is actually synthetic, and it's actually dangerous as well. Made in China, all right? So we have effects of smoking ganja. So short-term effects, you will get relaxation or euphoria, altered perception of time, sound, and sight, poor memory and concentration, increased heart rate, anxiety or paranoia, especially in high doses. So these are all short-term effects of smoking the marijuana or ganja. And it is often seen because, trying something for the first time, your body is not used to it. So, you smoking it, of course, it's going to have an effect on you, especially if, you aren't around persons who do this. And we usually see this in youngsters as well. So most of them smoke it, get the high or the euphoria that it comes with. They say it lets them forget their problems or what they're going through to manage stress and so on. However, it also has long-term effects, which include reduced motivation and memory problems, risk of addiction, lung damage, mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, and possible psychosis in vulnerable persons, and impacts on brain development in adolescents. So how do you think marijuana or ganja affects the brain? How does it affect the brain based on what it's saying? It destroys the brain cells, all right? Anybody else? Cells on the brain affects memory, all right, very good. So one of the main things that it does is affects memory and concentration. So yes, students you will see who smoke right, they don't want to eat as well, right? So affects with the mic.
What I was saying is that it affects different people in different ways. So some people are more inclined to be hungry. They have something called the munchies, I think they call it. And then other people lose their appetite altogether, and then it shows up in their physical appearance. They start to slim down a little bit. You know, the eyes get red. So I guess it depends on the person.
It does depend on the person.
So agreeing with you in terms of the fact that it impacts the user. So it's largely dependent on the person who uses it. So I heard somebody mention that, you know, some people don't eat, but you'll find some people eat excessively. For some people, it makes them lazy. Some people hyper. Some people paranoid. So it depends on the user themselves. So the effect will be dependent on the person who uses it. So you'll find it affecting different people differently. So you may have 3 young people who use the substance, and they have 3 different reactions to it. One person laughing down the place and all over. Another person get paranoid. Start just them little wicked people up there, so that's why I'm not deal with them. And another person who just sit down quiet and not move. So different people react differently to the drug, dependent on a number of different factors.
Thank you, Miss. So, right. So, as it relates to the long-term effects, so we can see mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, and possible psychosis in vulnerable persons. So this will happen over, you know, a prolonged period of time because of the deterioration, mostly of the mind. Also, you know, social issues, you know, being unable to keep friends and so on. And this will eventually affect the person in this area. Impacts on brain development in adolescence. So impacts in the brain on a whole, it will damage so we have the frontal lobe, right? Which is responsible for making, you know, decisions and so on. And the brain of, you know, youths, adolescents, they aren't developed until they are in their 20s, around age 25. So we can see where this will have a grave effect on them. So short-term and long-term effects of alcohol use. So impaired judgment, decreased perception and coordination, headaches, blackouts, which are memory lapses, and coma. We have long-term effects such as liver disease, nerve damage, gastritis, increased family and relationship problems, alcohol poisoning, high blood pressure, stroke, and other heart-related diseases. So alcohol is actually, you know, it can be a very tricky one because you will have persons saying, you know, they can manage their liquor and so on, and it eventually leads to them, you know, overdosing and even taking more, or even drinking, you know, more than they are supposed to. But I know as, you know, Seventh-day Adventist Christians, you know, we don't believe in or we don't drink or use alcohol, right? Good. So,
Right.
so long-term effects. So liver disease. So this will be as a result of, you know, probably years of the body trying to get rid of the alcohol. So we know the liver is actually the main filter for the body, right? We also have nerve damage, you know, gastritis, alcohol poisoning, increased family and relationship problems. Why do you think there will be increased family and relationship problems? Because of the alcohol consumes them, so the change in behavior, right? Go ahead.
Most of what you're talking about here, well, I've been there and done that.
Okay.
As far as smoking is concerned, you see, it damages you far more than you think. And most of the time when you find out it's late, for smoking is concerned, I can tell you that. About 30 years ago, I have a nephew a niece that was born at the hospital. And the mother couldn't leave the hospital. I said to my brother then, why is it that she cannot leave? She said, she needs blood. So then I said, you know, go get the little blood, man. He said, look, I smoke and doctor said he can't take the blood. So I said, no, stop smoke. He said, not so easy. Well, I said, let me get the blood. And meet me tomorrow morning. And As a matter of fact, he said the doctor told him that he had to stay some 24 hours before he could give the blood. And when I went there in the morning, I said to him, you give the blood? He said, no. I said, show me which spot and give the blood. So I go in and they ask me a few questions. And they say, eat from hand. I say, yes. He said, right, go sit down, I soon call you. And I go in and give my blood. And when the doctor said to him, you know, I mean, have you stopped smoking? He said, the doctor said, eat. He said, no, if I smoke a good spliff, you can't eat.
Right.
And so my brother could not give blood for the child that left the hospital because he was addicted to marijuana.
Right.
As far as smoking is concerned, I used to be an ardent cricket fan. And I started smoking a lot. And guess what? I was a pace bowler. And my speed cut right down to very little bit. And as far as talk about lungs,
Yes.
my heart was beating over time
Right.
when I tried to bowl fast.
Right.
It stops me from smoking. And when I stop smoke, I go right back to the piece that I used to bowl. Opening bowler number one. And so these things affect me seriously. And even drinking. Well, I was only drunk twice in my life, but I can tell you this. It slows down the blood circulation. You get dizzy up here, so, and if you drink and go home, and your mind in the right place, trust me.
Because alcohol is actually a depressant.
If you drink and go home and you try to communicate, it's not going to be good.
Right.
You won't be able to communicate properly. You may say things well enough to say, you
Right.
go and do things well enough to do, and it can mash up your life because I'm a construction worker. I mean, know enough, man. Enough. As a matter of fact, one of the last guy that works with me, his wife come to collect his pay from the boss. Because if he got the money, he will not be able to catch on with anything.
Right.
And so, brethren, this thing is not good. Serious business, and everybody who can stay away from it. Stay away from smoking, stay away from drinking, stay away from cocaine, stay away from it all. Because it will ruin you from both body and mind and life.
All right, thank you for that. All right, so moving on to ganja edibles. So these are foods or drinks that are infused with ganja, usually from the plant cannabis sativa. Instead of smoking, people eat or drink them to feel the side effects. So examples include brownies, cakes, cookies. They call it the space cake. You have gummies and candies, teas or juices, chocolates. So the active ingredient is mainly THC, which is mixed into the food. Right? So it's actually cooked into it or baked into it. Or at the factories, they process it into it. And it's sold to our children and our youths. So here are some examples of the edibles. So as you can see, they have it like Sour Patch, but it's actually a catch to it because they manufacture it in a way that it looks like popular candies or sweeties that, you know, children may like. You also have Chips Ahoy over that side instead of Chips Ahoy, and you also have it in Skittles, in the Skittles packaging as well, right? And here are some other examples. So you have them in Doritos, Cheetos, Ruffles, Oreo, and this is how they catch the youths and children. So someone who doesn't know what it is, you know, they will easily take it. And it's also used to, you know, trick teachers and parents as well. Because you see a child with one of these, you go, things your snacks them have, right? When in fact, it's actually a ganja edible. Right, so you also have them in Jolly Rancher, Gummies, Nerds, and those over there, there are some packages, right? So, all right, so how do you differentiate the package? So what I've noticed with many of these packages is that they will have, so you see how the Jolly Rancher are big? But, right, so the actual gummy, the part where they say, you know, it's a weed cake or so on, it's very small, right? So it's not really, right. So it's not really advertised as big as the actual, you know, name of the product.
additionally, if you look on the package, you would notice, you see the triangular shape, and you see the ganja leaf in there. You see the THC on there, and you notice the ganja leaves on the package. Normally, it says on the package as well, over 18, take at your own risk. Now, here is the trick. A lot of our children will buy a pack and then take it out of the pack, and then they share it up among them friends. That is where the danger lies. So one, we encourage parents to talk about this. We reach the stage now where we have to be saying, teach them to look at packaging. Look at your package. If you see a ganja leaf, you know that is something you're not supposed to eat. We encourage them to buy on. I'm not disrespecting any vendor because we are all trying to earn a living. But how things have gotten now, we have to be protecting our children. So what I normally say is go to the school cafeteria. Not buy nothing from no vendor. Forgive me. I'm not trying to take away anybody's bread and butter. But the sad reality, as we saw in one of our schools in Otorias, I don't know how many of you remember that incident, where they went in and sold those primary school children the ganja gummies. So we have to now be very, as parents, to sit and have these conversations. Not only that, but our children sometimes, what we find, one young person carry, and then break time or lunch time, everybody gone, and then me eat a piece, and me give you a piece, and you get piece, and we circulate it around. So again, another thing that is critical is to talk to our children about, how do I put it? Not eat from people. That's the stage where we reach now. Yeah. So these are where we're at now, because unknowingly a lot of our children get involved in using some of these substances, and they don't know. Because you notice the sad reality. Look at the packaging. Look at the packaging. These are attractive to children. The sad reality of our world is that we have adults who are, in church, I have to be mindful. I'm trying to be careful. You have unkind adults, to put it mildly. So we now have to be the ones to have these kind of conversation with our children. Sorry.
That's okay, miss.
What you have here, you know, is the manufacturers of this real world trying to create a new generation of addicts. So they start them like this. And the more children eat these things, by the time they become adults, they might end up on the corner later on when they become an adult. They dig out and mingle, and you wonder how come. But the thing is that, to be honest with you, sister, most these things are created to be so attracted to the eyes of the child. And when she eat it, it tastes so nice. Not realize that you have placed your feet down on the road to perdition. Sometimes enough of them never recover. You know, it's a sad reality.
One of the things too we have to be mindful of, this is not only about them, it can affect them mentally. And if our children are already predisposed to a mental illness and they use these psychoactive substances, this is where we see sometimes our young people developing some serious mental health challenges. Another thing, and I think you're going to get into it, is the fact that when they eat this, they don't feel the effect at the same time. So you will find that so I've seen young people go to party and they go and they eat ganja gummies. Fine. You see, 1 hour later, they're going off. They can't sit, they can't stand up, they don't know where they're all over the place. A lot of times I have seen sad reality, and young people are not picking on you. I have seen some of our young people, and I've heard young people say, I know it's wrong, you know. And you know, my mommy talked to me about it, but I was curious. I wanted to see what it feels like. And they test it out, and it creates serious problems. You eat the ganja, and unlike smoking, which reaches the brain in 7 seconds, eating takes a while. So we have seen young people, they eat it, and then, I just never go on so over. I've heard that. And then, bam, they eat peace more. And I just never say, you know, then just extra until it chip in. And then them going crazy. They can't sit, they can't stand, they're all over the place, and they lose focus. One of the things that worry me is when they have to, let's say they're taking a taxi to go home. Now, again, we live in a world with some unkind people. And if you're not careful, people can take you away. And it's not only girls they take away. So, you know, young people, I know we love experiment. We love try things. We love see how things feel. But there is a side to it that you can go to that you may never come back from.
Can we keep the questions and comments until the end of the presentation, please? Please, thanks.
All right, so thank you very much, Ms. Brown. So the effects, so as it relates to the potency of the edibles, so you are unaware of the amount of ganja that was used. That is the first thing, right? And you don't know if the piece that you will get, you know, will be that piece that contains the most potency as well. Also the time of effect, as Ms. Brown, alluded to. So it goes through a process of digestion. So it may take 30 minutes or more, possibly an hour or two, for the effects to be felt. And that is when it is most devastating. So additional effects include anxiety or panic attacks, paranoia, nausea and vomiting, a very fast heart rate, and confusion or hallucinations as well. So now we have the effects of cigarettes or the tobacco. So a cigarette contains nicotine and many cancer-causing chemicals that are harmful to both smokers and non-smokers. So we have first-hand smoking, second-hand smoking, and third-hand smoking. Does anybody know what third-hand smoking is? When you smoke an inhale, or that is actually second-hand smoking. Does anyone know? Someone smokes and? That's second hand. Yes, go ahead.
For
example, somebody smokes in a motor vehicle and then you go in there and the seating, the absorbs it and you inhale it.
So that's actually it, right? And that is why it's actually, persons actually say don't smoke in, closed or enclosed areas. Because someone will smoke and say they are in, a living room or like the closet area, and the smoke actually goes onto the clothes, and then, other persons can come and inhale it. And that's why we also encourage, those persons with, babies as well. If somebody smokes, it is not really a wise decision to have them, hold their baby, especially close to their chest area, because the baby can actually inhale the smoke from the clothing. So there are over 5,000 different chemicals in the cigarette, and they can affect every single organ in the body, and the effects are normally long-term. So here is a picture of the cigarette and the different chemicals that are in it. So starting from the left, we see acetic acid, which is vinegar, butane, which is lighter fluid, cadmium used in batteries, stearic acid, candle wax, Examiner, which is barbecue lighter. We have toluene, industrial solvent, nicotine, which is actually, that substance that is found mainly, it's found in tobacco. And what nicotine does is it actually releases the dopamine in your brains, which is the pleasure hormone. So that hormone that makes you, happy when something happens in your life, yes, that's the dopamine. And if you look where the nicotine is, right? So it's almost when you're finishing the cigarette. So that is why you will have persons being able to go through many packs of cigarette in a day. Because it is when it's finishing, that is when you feel the high. That is when, you get the kick. That is when you feel good. And then that is when, they will eventually go through a next one. You have ammonia, you have paint, methanol, liquid fluid, carbon monoxide, arsenic, which is a poison, and methane, which is a sewer gas. So all of those and more substances are in the cigarette.
So let's read what's on the cigarette box. Smoke from this product contains extremely addictive nicotine and toxic substances such as tar and carbon monoxide. No safe level of consumption exists for this product. That's on the box.
Yes, so, the persons that made this, they know exactly what they are doing, right? And you look on the boxes and you see them saying, do not smoke, it's harmful to the bodies. And, in recent times, they have actually put images, graphic images, I might add, of, different parts of the body that, might be damaged by, persons smoking and so on. And here we have the smoker's body. So you might see this if you go to a doctor's office or so, and it gives a graphic image of, what happens to a person when they smoke over a prolonged period of time. So one that's more readable, so it says macular degeneration, that happens in the eyes, cataracts, vision loss. In the nose, you have reduced taste and smell, tooth staining, in the mouth you have tooth decay, gum disease. You also have miscarriage in women, birth defects as well, developmental delays, and also we know it affects the lungs mainly, so you will have lung cancer and so on. It also affects the bone, you might have, or you might be more susceptible to bone fractures, and it also affects how quickly, you might heal from, say, a bruise or a cut that you may get as well. So short and long-term effects, so just to reiterate, increased heart rate, a drop in skin temperature, and increase in the rate of breathing odor as well, which may come from the mouth of the smoker. Long-term effects include lung cancer, other cancers as well, chronic heart diseases, gastric or duodenal ulcers, discolored fingernails and teeth, and chronic bronchitis. So now we are moving on to e-cigarettes or the vape pen. And I know this one might intrigue a lot of individuals here today. Yes, go ahead.
He died a year ago from lung cancer. Now all my life I grew up, I see my father. They know what they call my father? Step softly. Because my father, foot bottom, had on these large bunions, his hand middle. So when he started to go to the doctor a few years ago, and the doctor, they did a x-ray, and one side of his lungs was very dark. He came home and stopped smoking. And you see, the moment my father stopped smoke, every bunion, every corn under his foot bottom, everything disappeared. Although here, I've never seen anybody give that demonstration of that on anything at all, but I am sure of that one. And I have a nephew now. Whenever he's smoking, you know, because he has the bunions as well. Whenever he stops, he's clean. Yeah, that's one of the signs as well.
So that might be something that might be, genetic. It may be passed down from, well, it might be in your family for persons who may smoke.
I don't
You're
know,
not sure,
but
right?
I know it goes with the smoking.
Okay.
With the smoking.
All right,
I don't
then.
see anybody else in the family with it except them.
All right, thank you for that. All right, so we have e-cigarettes or vape pens. So remember that we call them ENDS, which are electronic nicotine delivery systems. So these come in many shapes and sizes. Most have a battery, a heating element, and a place to hold the liquid. So, the samples were going around, so that the part in it, that, it might look like the bigger part, so that is where the liquid is actually in. And they produce an aerosol by heating a liquid that usually contains nicotine, which is the addictive drug in regular cigarettes. So it also produces flavoring and other chemicals that help to make the aerosol. So whenever I go into schools, I will hear students say, sir, it's just vapor, right? It's nothing at all, it's just vapor. And I usually ask them the question, if it's just vapor, then why do they say it's bad for you? And most of them, they can't really answer. So in one vape, it is said to contain at least 20 cigarettes, right? And if you look at a cigarette and the harmful substances that are in it and the harm that it does to your bodies, so you can just imagine one vape. So it's a toxic mix. So in it, we have benzene, which is actually used in gas, acetone, the females know about this, it's nail polish remover. We have toluene as well, which is found in paint thinner. We have nickel, which is used to make stainless steel. Formaldehyde, we all know what formaldehyde is for, right? Yes, Ella? What it's used for, right? Yes. Right. Right. So it's highly toxic. So it's used to preserve or to embalm dead bodies as well. So imagine you inhaling or, you taking something in your body that is used to embalm dead bodies, right? We also have acrolein, which is found in, those spray pan they are used to, like in grammar zone and stuff like that. We have cadmium, which is in batteries, and lead. So some years ago, they actually banned the lead for making pencils because of how damaging it is to the external body. So imagine the damage it does to the internal body as well. So we see vaping a lot because, it looks cute, the little things that they have in their, the bottles and so on. They can be in bottles, they can be in shape of pens and so on. So they come in all different shapes and sizes. And that's why they are so easy, again, I'm coming. That's why they are so easy, again, to conceal because of how, how the manufacturers have made them. So you might see a student, with a bottle in their hand, and it seems as if they are drinking water or juice, but it's actually the vape. You might see them with a pen, right? And it's actually the vape as well. So that's how you also encourage parents, check their bags, make sure that you are keeping abreast as to what they are doing, as to what they are using, so as to not lose them to these things. Go ahead. Go ahead.
A lot of younger children, it affects them negatively in where they develop a particular illness called lung injury. What's this called again? I know about it, but it's fatal lung injury.
Okay.
Where they rarely ever recover from that particular injury. So all the chemicals.
Is it the same as a popcorn lung?
As they?
Popcorn lung.
I am not sure,
okay.
But what I know is that they rarely recover from that particular. And it happens often with young persons,
okay.
Not necessarily older persons, but the young person. I'm not sure what they're doing differently, but it is one of the side effects of vaping.
All right, thank you very much for that. So another effect that we are seeing is what we call the popcorn lung, right? So you see how the popcorn looks fluffy and so on. So it's the same way it actually makes the lung look. So the lungs look like that, and also the bronchi and also the bronchioles. And that is also as an effect of smoking the vape. Additionally, since it's a bit new on the scene, so the scientists, they don't know the actual effects, that it does to persons who partake in, smoking and so on as relates to the vape. So they're actually depending on the generation now to tell them what happens over a prolonged period of time as it relates to vaping. And we also have the molly. So the molly, it became popular, in Jamaica a few years ago. So it's a short for methylene methamphetamine, which is mostly commonly known as ecstasy or molly. So it's a laboratory-made drug, and effects usually last from 3 to 6 hours. So it is a Schedule 1 substance, which means that it has no medical benefit and a high potential for abuse. So this is something that's basically useless to the body, right? Because it's providing no medical benefit. It only provides, damage to the body. And what we see in the lean, with the molly, it's called an hallucinogenic substance. So what that means is that taking this substance is going to cause you to see things or to feel things that are not real. And that is why it's mainly used in the party scene, right? So that is where persons want to see and, get a certain type of high. And it has many damaging effects to the body, mainly psychotic effects. So those would include, erratic and irrational behaviors. And that can be seen in persons who use this substance. So we're going to talk about the lean. So the effects of the lean, so your euphoria and relaxation, users feel a high or a state of detached happiness. So the name lean, it actually comes from the user's tendency to lose balance and they slouch, leading to lack of coordination. So that is why they actually named it the lean. So it causes nausea, vomiting, and severe constipation. It also causes blurred vision, difficulty seeing in the dark, or double vision. And because of how sweet it is also linked to diabetes as well. And what it contains is, so you have the Jolly Rancher, the Sprite, and the codeine or the DPH. And you know that the Jolly Rancher and the Sprite, those are sweeter substances, right? However, with the DPH, some of them, they can be labeled as depressants, so depressants are things that, they make your brain want to sleep. They put you to sleep, while we have stimulants which make you active. So when you're going to mix those two substances, it's almost as if you're confusing the body. in a sense, right? And that is what leads to these effects or these things happening to individuals who use them. So now we have how to say no. So in schools we teach refusal skills, right? So we say to be strong or be confident and say no in a strong and clear voice. You're going to give a reason or change the subject, and then you're going to walk away. And it might be easier said than done. It might be easier said than done because, you might be cornered by a group of individuals and they might be forcing you to do something that you don't want to do. But in the moment, you have to, keep in your mind who you are, what you stand for, what you believe in, and that will ultimately help you. Go ahead. Afterwards. All right, no problem. We also practice telling, students or children and also youth to choose better friends because, too often times we see persons wanting to look cool, persons wanting to fit in. You may have this friend from primary school and you go into them with high school as well and you say like, I can't dash my friend, right? But, persons have different paths and not only throwing away that person, but also trying to help them to see a better path as well. That can be also something that may help them as well in that area.
And for this, I don't want you to take this part lightly. This is something that we are seeing even at our primary school level. Even at our primary school level. So what we find, and I've seen this on occasion, and I don't know if we have any guidance counselor in here who can attest to what I'm going to say. So one person may carry this. So their big brother or big cousin or somebody in the family vapes. The child find it and see it and then carry go to school. And then what you find a lot of times is that one child carry, then lunchtime, everybody sneak, and they go around the back, and me get a pull, and you get a pull, and you get a pull, and everybody pass around the one vape. Think about it. Everybody pull in. Are we talking about primary school children? So not only germs passing around, but they're using the chemical that is so dangerous. So even at our primary school level, it is important for us to have that kind of conversation, to be able to say no, because it's attractive. They're pretty, and they look nice. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Brown. So we also teach them, positive alternatives. So go into your strengths, something that you will like. So for those who like sports, practice sports. And what I often do at times is I say to them, like, imagine, so you want to make like a football team or you want to be in a netball team at school, right? Right, so imagine taking drugs, substances. What is that going to do to your body? So helping them to see the negative effects of it and then, eventually guiding them to make the right choice. Listen to music as well. So music actually helps more than we think it does because music is actually something that's very therapeutic to the mind as well. So good music, of course. So that's something that is also, introduced to them as well. Church activities, as we have churches as well, encouraging them to go to church, taking part in church as well from, such a tender age. That actually assists them, helps them in building certain skills and building themselves, being more confident, being more able to stand up for themselves, knowing what they stand for as well, as relates to their religion and so on. Talking to someone as well. So persons are available to speak to. So you can speak to a trusted adult. You may have, a pastor, an elder, a teacher, someone, a counselor as well. And also us at the National Council on Drug Abuse. We are always ready and available to assist and help. We also introduce hobbies to them. So thinking before you act. That means that you are thinking ahead, thinking of the consequences, what can happen to you, who you can get in trouble with. Mommy gonna have to come to school or wherever, and you might end up in the hospital, so on, think before you act. Choose your friends wisely. For many persons, it might be hard to, not fit into a certain group because of what you see is going on. But at the end of the day, you have to think about the end results. Are these persons really contributing to your overall development and your well-being? And your future is in your hands. So even yesterday, I did a presentation at a primary school, and I asked the students, what do you want to become? And they were giving me their different responses and so on. And then I alluded to the fact of using drugs. Do you think that will help you to be what you want to be? Will it deter you? And most of them were saying, yes, it will deter me and so on. So even career day, when it comes up, them dressing up in their different career, attires and so on, it's also something that you can put to, ask them what they want to become and saying, how will using drugs help you to, achieve this goal and so on. So these are all things that you can look at, and this is a key message that we try to push. So the NCDA, we are available for support. So we actually have a 24-hour national mental health line, which is, it's displayed, good, it's displayed. We also have the National Council on Drug Abuse Helpline. You can reach us at 876-534-4357. We have a You Matter chat line, which is where you take support to the WhatsApp number. And you also have a safe spot for it's a child and teen helpline as well, that you can also reach out to get assistance and help. So you can, take a picture of this and keep it in your phone. And also, our office is at 4 Car Crescent, Montego Bay, right below the family court. Right, so I guess go ahead, the other question. Or right. High levels of caffeine, right? All right. Yes, thank you very much for that.
Thank you for that, because even during the exam times, for university students, even our high school students, that's a challenge that we're seeing. So that's a very, very important point. One of the things, too, that we are seeing that as we wrap up, and we just want to remind persons, we are seeing a lot of Jamaicans who are what we call polydrug users. So they smoke, they blame, they're drinking, and then not only that, there is something, and the ministry is going to be rolling out something looking at this. We're talking about the special, where they're combining the depressant and the stimulant. So an energy drink along with alcohol, we should realize that they're creating two opposites, which can carry significant impact on the brain functioning. So, there are so many substances that we could talk about this evening, but time would not permit us to be able to go into all of it. But the ones we spoke about are the main substances that we're seeing. So believe it or not, with Jamaica, traditionally, in Jamaica, one of our most abused drugs right now is alcohol. And we're seeing this concern among our high school students. And boys and girls are at risk. So it's not just our boys. And then the smoking. But what we're seeing now is a lot of more synthetic. We're seeing the vaping and these new drugs are becoming quite popular. So we need to have these conversations. Now, there's one of the line up there that I want persons to also take note of. The You Matter chat line is one of those lines through the Ministry of Health that we man, the NCDA. However, this line is specifically for young people. You're able to text in and you're immediately connected to a psychologist. So anybody who, and this is where we're saying no young person should be struggling mentally and not getting help. So the ministry would have implemented so many services to ensure that our people have the kind of support that they need. One of the things that the Bible tells us, and I love this verse in Proverbs, and it says, the prudent man foreseeth evil and hideth himself, but the simple pretend and are punished. So this increased awareness is information that we can use to help us to make good decisions. When we pretend like we don't hear it or don't see it, we are indeed going to face the consequences. Thank you so much for having us. I want you to give Roger. He's quite young. And I think he did an awesome job. Awesome, awesome job. Yes.
I have a small comment to close on, especially for the parents that have young children. I would like to say that I want you guys to be very frank with your children when you are explaining these stuff. Don't beat around the bush. Don't be like, this is wrong, this is wrong. The first time I went to an NCDA meeting, I think it was at Jewel Grand, and while we were there, they talk about something called the shock therapy. So what I would really want you guys to do, show them images. It probably hurt them now, but better hurt them and let them have like a mental block against the thing than for them to go there and figure it out for themselves. I'd really like you guys to have time and sit down with them and introduce it to them and tell them how wrong it is, tell them the effects and the causes that it have on you, because better you introduce it to them than then go and find it for themselves and then believe the first thing with them say. Also, I would love for you guys to teach your children to have confidence in themselves. Be confident. Don't just, the simplest thing that deter you from being who you are, you back down and go and congregate with who you should not be congregating with. And I also want to tell you, they say no thing and they find other positive ways with the exercise, the music, the sports, the hobbies. When you're doing that to your children, don't give them something that you would like them to do. Let them find something that they enjoy. Because if you give them something that you would like for them to do, they're going to do it to please you, and then behind your back, they do as they please. So you should sit down with your children and get a better understanding of how they feel, what they want for themselves, and you can help to work around the problem that is at hand.
Wise and fine words, Jordine. I could not have said it better myself. Thank you so much. AY, do we have any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Auntie Barbara, yes? Go ahead.
Thank you. Don't leave. Don't leave the mic. Right. I just wanted to make the comment, in addition to what Sister Brown said. She said a part of it when she quoted Proverbs, that this matter of substance abuse, it's presented, in this as a social issue. But I think it goes beyond the social and it's deeply spiritual. because the devil desires to destroy the youth and the children and also the men, right? And so it is an attack on the mind. If it destroys the mind, where the decisions for God and for righteousness and for holiness is made, then he gets the praise, he gets the person. But if the mind is being controlled by the Spirit of God and is protected, then we will rather choose right than choose wrong. So I want us to look beyond the social issue that affects the entire nation to the spiritual nature of it, that Satan desires to destroy the youth, the children, and the men, because they are the ones, to a great extent, to whom are given the responsibility to provide leadership and, a foundation for the society. So I want to encourage the young people also to hold each other accountable. Parents will do so much and will say so much, but young people are very loyal to their peers. They are more loyal to their peers than they are to their parents. So as peers, you have a responsibility to look out for each other, hold each other accountable, and if you see they need help, you call on the adults to provide the help that you cannot provide at your young stage.
That is so true what Sister Barbara had just said. Young people have to hold each other accountable, because you might know something that a young person might be, taking alcohol or smoking, but you are holding it close to your chest and you're not mentioning this to the adults. And so you might even have a child, or me being a parent, might have a child who is doing this. And you, the young people, might know, and nobody has ever said anything to me, and I don't know. I see Rochelle looking at me. But we have to look out for each other. And what I've seen happening is that, as was said earlier, some of these things are used for recreational reasons. And so you might go out as young people and you have one of these Heineken beer. These Heineken beer, you know that Seventh-day Adventists do not practice drinking alcohol. You say to yourself that, Choman is just 5% or whatever is in there. But how much alcohol can your body take before it damages you? Maybe for one person, one Heineken beer is fine. Maybe for another, it will hit your brain, right? And that's the same thing with the other type of drugs. So we are encouraging our young people to be so careful. Find other ways. When you go out, do not partake in these things, but try to find things that are good, things that are uplifting to be a part of. We would never like to know that our young people are engaging in these activities.
A question?
We have a question over here. We wanted to know why in the Bible, when it speaks about drinking wine, if it's okay to do, or is it like when you take it to an extent? For example, when it says wine is good for the stomach once in a while or something like that. So could we have a expound version of like why we are so against wine and stuff like that?
All right, clearly that is going into another realm of study, right? The whole issue with the wine, and perhaps that is something we could look at in the Bible class. But just to mention that Paul, because Timothy was having some challenges at the time, stomach challenges apparently, and was even sick for a while. And the historical information is there to show that grape juice that is unfermented grape juice was actually used as a therapeutic agent at that point in time for many ailments. And so when Paul had counseled him to take a little wine for the stomach's sake, that is specifically what he was encouraging him to do, not of course to drink strong drink, as you will find it is labeled in other contexts, where strong drink specifically refers to the fermented liquid there, the alcohol, which of course leads to drunkenness, etc. But there are a whole lots more to it, and it would take us an entire study to unravel and to expound on all of that.
Thank you, Elder. Any further? Okay. Alrighty. So, AY, how do we feel after that presentation? Do we not feel educated? Enlightened? Yes. So on behalf of the entirety of the AY body here at Seventh-day Adventist Church Glendavon, and also the larger congregation, we would like to say a profound thank you. Brother Thompson, well done. Excellently executed, I must say. You took every question like a champ, and you were willing and able to answer all of our queries. We are especially grateful for the manner in which you tailored this presentation to suit the young people and also make it palatable for anyone who is listening. I was educated, right? I didn't know about the K2, the synthetic marijuana. That was news to me. So we just want to give you a round of applause. I think that's appropriate. Yes? Yes. Yes. Thank you so much, and trust that you will be invited back because we have lots more to talk about, all right? We invite Sister Carr to close us out with Vespers. So there might be a part 2 and a part 3 based on his availability. And while Sister Carr comes, I implore you once again, parents, guardians, friends, have honest conversations, be vigilant. I know that we want to protect our youth and our children, however, do not protect them to the point of sheltering them, right? So be honest, be vigilant, and stay safe in the Word of God.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. Yes, I was educated too. Lean. I've never heard about that one before. So we don't want to be leaning except on Jesus, right? That's the only leaning we want to be doing, on Jesus. If you will turn your hymnals with me to the hymn 329, Take the World, but Give Me Jesus. We will just do the first stanza and chorus as we get into our Vespers. You can stand, please. Take that key down for me because that song goes pretty high. We have some people with mics, so we want to hear the parts as well. Let's go. Take the word, but give me Jesus. All his joys are brought to name. But his love abideth ever through eternal years the same. Oh, the rise and depth of mercy, oh, the length and breadth of love, oh, the fullness of redemption, pleasure endless life above. You may be seated in the presence of God. When you don't feel like it, there are days when you are not going to feel like you even want to serve God. There are days when you struggle with being a Christian, and it's real, right? There are days when you wonder if all the sacrifices that you've been making is worth it. But then we can turn to the scripture. Some days our circumstances threaten to overwhelm us, and we struggle just to pray. Ever get up in the morning and you spread out, but the words don't come? Maybe tears come, but the words don't come. Many times we just don't feel like doing the things we should do. For one reason or another, God sometimes seems far off and unreachable. David faced those times. The Psalms are filled with verses that express the despair and feeling of abandonment. Ever wake up one morning and your spirit is cast down? You're not sure why you're feeling the way you're feeling. You're just feeling down. Yet, God's word is so ready to help us. It says, forever, O Lord, your word is settled in heaven. Your faithfulness continues throughout all generations. You establish the earth and it stands. They stand this day according to your ordinances. My circumstances and feelings have not changed, God. He's the same God yesterday, today. He was the one who hung the stars in the sky. He is the one that we read about in the Bible that led the Israelites through the Red Sea. Are you experiencing a Red Sea today? All things, even the things affecting you right now, God knows your circumstances, and he asks us to give them over to him. We can recall God's faithfulness to us. If we can look back and see how God has led us, then we can trust that our future is going to be great. The next time you feel spiritually drained or inadequate, remember that you have a choice. You can wrap yourself up in excuses and self-pity, or you can choose to draw your strength from an unchanging God. So I implore you, the God of yesterday is the God today and will be tomorrow. Hold on to him, ask him for strength, and he will provide before you're there. I like to say he's already there because God knows the future, and if we say we trust him, then you don't need to worry. So we place the untried week in his hand, whatever your situation, whether it's financial, emotional, spiritual, or any other give it to Jesus. He is still the God who will take care of us and who cares about everything that we need. So I implore you to take Jesus, give the world and all its problems to him, because he remains our faithful God. May I invite us all to stand as we sing the third and last stanza of the same hymn to close. Say the word, but give me Jesus. Let me view his constant smile. Let throughout my pilgrim journey, light will cheer me all the while. Oh, the eyes that bless the mercy Moses, who took him through a wilderness to retrain his mind to serve. We sit at your feet now, Lord, and we thank you for the Sabbath that you have given to us. We want to thank you for knowledge. We want to thank you for these beautiful people you brought to us to present this afternoon. We want to thank you for knowledge. And we ask, Lord, that you will help us not to allow these words to go into thin air, but that we will ingest them. We will be our brother's keeper. We will not hide the things that our peers are doing, but we will take it to Jesus. We will ask for help, and together we will overcome. Lord, we will place in your hands this untried week. Many are challenged from one thing or another. Some people are here today. They have no job to go back to one Monday morning. But God, you have said that you take care of the sparrow. You provide for your children. And we have seen you do it in the past, so we trust your hand and your leading that you will take care of us all. So go with us now, cover us under your wings, and carry us where we cannot go. When we are weak and unable to do it on our own, we ask, Lord, that you will carry us in your arms. We want to bless your name for all that you have done, and we want to thank you for what you will do. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Savior, breathe an evening's blessing. Savior, breathe an evening's blessing. Every pulse of spirit sin and want. We come confessing thou canst save and thou canst heal. Amen.
Thank you so much. I believe tomorrow evening we